Good afternoon, Algebra 2 students. This is Mr. DeRosier, and I am going to record a video of my worked out solutions to all the questions from the spring 2019 free response part of the Algebra 2 Common Assessment. You guys have access to all of these problems in the free response formative assessment that your teacher has given to you. The expectation is that you have already worked through these problems on your own or tried to work through these problems on your own, and now you are checking out, you're comparing your work to mine, hopefully picking up some things along the way. So here we go. Question number 28, a New York tech company recently went public and started trading shares on the New York Stock Exchange. The NYSE opens at 8 a.m. and closes at 4 p.m. Open at 8, we close at 4. Okay? Monday was the company's first day on the New York Stock Exchange. Its price per share can be modeled by this equation, where X is the number of hours after the New York Stock Exchange opens, and f of x is the price per share measured in dollars. Okay, part A, what is an appropriate domain? The domain, we know that is talking about all your possible inputs. Now, I want to be careful about this. You've got this function over here, f of x, and that function represents the price per share based on, where X is the number of hours since the New York Stock Exchange opens. So the New York Stock Exchange opens at 8 a.m., but in terms of my X value, X is the number of hours since the New York Stock Exchange opens. So at 8 a.m., that means X is equal to 0. The New York Stock Exchange closes at 4 p.m., from 8 a.m., let me make it clear that that's 8 a.m., to 4 p.m., that's 8 hours. So we're going to go, our domain is x equals 0 to x equals 8. The domain is going to be from 0 to 8, if I want to write it that way. That is going to be in, interval notation. Or I could say from 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 8, and that is going to be in interval notation. In terms of my reasoning, I could say the NYSE is open for 8 hours each day. X equals 0 represents 8 a.m. and x equals 8 represents 4 p.m. This was meant to be a relatively easy, straightforward question. You earned 1 point for expressing the domain correctly using either interval notation or inequality notation. And then you earned another point for the explanation of your answer. So this is worth 2 points. Not too bad. Part B, after 12 o'clock, what is the lowest price per share of the company's stock? What time does that occur? Round to the nearest whole minute. Okie dokie. So let's be really careful with this one. All right, in order to know the lowest price per share, I need to know what the graph looks like. So the only way I'm going to know what this graph looks like is going to involve pulling up my calculator. So I'm going to switch on over to my calculator. That didn't work, that's weird. There we go. On my calculator, let me escape out of here. I want to go over to the graph, and I'm going to type in my function in F1, which is 1.3 x to the third power minus 19 x to the second power plus 83x. Hit enter. That is not a good looking graph. So let's see what's going on. I think the issue is we're having some challenges with the window here. I can see that the graph seems to be going up, 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 up. So what I want to do is I'm going to go over to Menu. I'm going to go over to Window, and I want to change my window settings. My X-min and my X-max, well, those are pretty good, but we've already established the domain is from 0 to 8. So let me go from 0 to 8. I know that my function is increasing and it increases off the screen. So let's go with a larger Y max, maybe 100. Let's click OK. I can see that that's definitely looking better. I'm still not seeing the entire graph. I've got part of the graph that is off the screen here, part that's off here. So let's go back to the menu. Let's go back to Window. Let's change the settings. And instead of 100, I'm going to go with 200. And that looks much better. Much, much better. Now, we want to know what is the lowest price per share of the company's stock after 12 o'clock. So don't be deceived. Don't look over here. We're looking from 12 o'clock would be x equals 4, so about halfway all the way until the end. That minimum is going to be happening somewhere over here. So let's use the calculator. I'm going to go to Menu. I'm going to go to Analyze Graph, and I want the minimum. I want the minimum from x equals 4, so I'm just going to type 4, hit Enter. That's my start. The upper bound is 8, hit Enter. And I can see that my minimum is right here at 6.4378 and 93.7385. I'm going to write those down on my paper. 6.4378, comma, 93.7385. Okay, let's go back to my notes. So that's the minimum, but let's make sure that we answer the question. After 12 o'clock, what is the lowest price per share of the company's stock? The lowest price per share for the company's stock is, since this is in dollars, $93. I'm going to put $93.74 because we have 93.7385. We would round. If you put $93.73, I'm pretty sure we accepted that as well. Now we want to know what time does that occur. So we'd say this occurs at, what was it? X equals 6.4378 hours. Now, I can't remember how picky we were about this. It says to round the answer to the nearest whole minute. So that's going to be a little bit tricky. X equals 6 hours after opening is going to be 2 p.m. So it's going to be 2 p.m., but we have to figure out the minutes. The proper way to do this is to say, you know, it's 0.4378 of an hour. There are 60 minutes in an hour, so I need to multiply 0.4378 by the 60. Let me go back over to my calculator. Let me switch over 0.4378 times 60 is going to be 26.268. So that would be 26.268 minutes after 2 p.m. Because we're supposed to round it to the nearest minute, we would say that that is going to be 2:26 p.m. We're offering 1 point for this minimum value of $93.74. I think we decided to be kind, and we took the 6.4378, so this would have been worth 2 points. But the actual best way to go about doing this is to say 6 hours plus some more, so that's 2 p.m. How many minutes? Multiply 0.4378 by 60. Okay, finally, part C, solve the equation f of x equals 65 and interpret the meaning of your equation. Well, f of x is the function that we have already typed into the calculator. We've put this in as f1 of x. What I'm going to do is I'm going to graph the 65 as f2, and we're going to look for the intersection point. So we're going to go back to the calculator, and I'm going to go to tab, 65, enter. We're looking for the intersection point, which we see is happening over here. Menu, analyze graph, intersection, and we're going to go a little bit to the left. We're going to go a little bit to the right, and it looks to me like the intersection happens at 0.9939. Let me write that down on my paper. Solve the equation f of x equals 65. Well, the solution is x equals 0.9939. You can round that to 0.994 if you'd like to. And then you have to explain what this means. Well, f of x represents the price per share. I want to know when the price per share is equal to $65. So I would say at 0.9939 hours after the New York Stock Exchange opens, the stock has a value of $65. We awarded 1 point for the x value, 1 point for the explanation, so this is worth 2 points. In total, this question was worth 6 points, and quite honestly, this was a pretty kind free response question for the calculator active section. These are some really important skills. You've got to be able to do things like find minimum values, find intersection values, graph the function in an appropriate window, but you also have to be able to explain your work in writing. So take your time, go over this if necessary, and that concludes this video.